In this video we're going to be looking at an effect called the color corrector three-way. The color corrector three-way allows you to change the color values and the tones of the clips that you're working on. The color corrector three-way filter is in the effects tab under video filters, color correction, and then color corrector three-way. So you can click and drag that onto the image or the clip. When you have dragged that onto the clip, if you go back up to the viewer, you'll see that you have a new tab called Color Corrector three-way. The Color Corrector three-way's controls are split into three. And you're looking at the different tonal areas of the image. You can adjust the blacks, the mids, or the whites. And these are going to adjust all of the colors and tones within the darker parts of the image. These will affect the middle areas of grays, and these will affect the lighter parts of the image. We can also adjust the overall saturation of the image using the saturation slider here at the bottom. So what we're going to do now is we're going to adjust the color values and tonal values of this JPEG here. So this isn't actually a video file, but the same rules apply whether you're working on a JPEG or a video clip. So just imagine that this is one frame of a video that we're working on, and we need to change it. Now the problem with this image is that there's a color cast on it. It's predominantly yellow. And we can see it to look at the image, but we can also see it represented here in the scopes. So what we need to do is we need to be able to pull the color values back away from yellow into a more neutral space. The way that we can do that is by adjusting the hues of the colors here in these three circles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all adjust the lighter parts of the image. So you can see yellow here is located on the left, so if I want to reduce the amount of yellow in the lighter parts of the image, I'm going to need to click and drag the center point over to the right and down a little bit towards blue. And you can already see that it's removing a lot of the yellow. Now if I want to see a before and after, I can come up to this eye icon and toggle that on and off. So you can see now that I've reduced a significant amount of yellow just by clicking and dragging that. I could do the same here for the mids, pull that down towards blue, and you can see it really becoming neutralized now. And I can leave actually I'll just do the same with the blacks now just to pull it down. So if I preview this now, you'll see that I've done quite a good bit of work on it in reducing the color cast. Now the next step is to adjust the tonal areas of the image. Now the tonal areas, as we saw in the scopes video, are visible here in the waveform monitor, the RGB parade, and the histogram. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the waveform so I can just look at that. So you can see that I have quite a lot of space here in between the lightest part of my image and proper white. So if I wanted to, I could pull this over here just to lighten a few parts of the image. And what I can also do is I can look at where all of my tonal information is in the middle and at the bottom here, and I can see that I could nearly darken some of the darkest parts just until they touch black. So when you see an image that has its tones varying all the way from just under white to just above black, you know that you've got a good tonal variation in your image. And you can see that here with all of the detail here in the dark and the light parts of the plant. Now what I can then do once I've done my darks and my lights is I can move around in the center here and I can see what gives me the best result. Now it's important to remember that when you adjust any one of these sliders, it's going to have an effect on the two to each side as well. So you can see in the waveform monitor, when I adjust the midtones, the whites get pushed up. So I'm going to pull that back down, or I can leave that up and then pull the whites back down a tiny bit. And what I'm aiming for here is more definition in those leaves in the center. I'll toggle it off, and I'm going to pull the black areas down a tiny bit. You can also adjust them by clicking on the arrows at either side, and that will do more smaller adjustment. Okay, so that's not looking too bad now. If I wanted to at this stage, I could either push the saturation up to make it look more kind of vivid, or I could pull it down to make it look a little bit more somber looking maybe. You have some other controls here in your auto levels. And the first one here is to auto black, which will automatically adjust the black parts of your image so that they sit in the right part of the scope here. And I'll just do a quick auto black and see what happens. Not much because I've already kind of done the manually. Do a white, and that just pulled the white down slightly. So there may be some tiny little areas of white that we can't see here that are just pushed up over the white line here. The one in the center is your auto contrast, and that will adjust all of the tones and get a good spread of light to dark. Okay. So if you wanted to do this, you might start by first of all doing an auto contrast and see how that improves the image, and then you can go in and you can change the color balance here using these wheels, and then you can really get in and you can manually adjust or tweak the settings a little bit. Now I'm going to just open up the Parade. Now we can see here that I do have some information here that's just peaking in the blue over the white. So if I was to send this off to a television company, for instance, to be broadcast, they'd send it back and say that we can't broadcast this because it's not broadcast safe. There is too much white. You've gone over the white line, so it's no longer technically broadcast safe. So if you have all of your corrections done at this stage and you're happy that the image looks pretty good, I'm just going to adjust this slightly actually, and you want to send it off for broadcast, for instance, or you just want to make sure that none of your whites clip over that line, you can use another filter called Broadcast Safe. The Broadcast Safe filter, if you watch the blue area of the Parade scopes there, you see that it just clips all of the information and brings it down onto that white line. You can rarely see the effect here because you're dealing with a very small amount of pixels that have been pushed up too high over the white line. But when you put the Broadcast Safe filter on it, you can ensure that everything is going to be exactly where you want it to be and nothing will be outside of the legal limit. That is the Color Corrector 3-way filter, and you should use that on all of your shots to make sure that you have the best possible tonal contrast and that you don't have any color balance issues.